yeah, it's not so great.
This podcast is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. Spoiler warning for whatever is in the title of this episode.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that the Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible and all other major podcast apps.
Welcome to a bonus episode of the Horror of Babylon that really sucks. Where we discuss Morbius. I'm Ryan, and with me as always is Milo. Hi, Milo.
Monopolis?
No, you're Milo.
I don't remember that.
At the first scene is the other little boy comes into the hospital, and Michael's like, calls him Milo. And he's like, my name's not Milo, my name's whatever. And he's like, no, you're Milo now. There's the Milo before you. And
the Milo after, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's sort of a spoiler for my review of this movie.
You were totally drunk and don't remember any of it?
No. I watched this movie twice.
Okay.
Because I watched it, and a day went by, and I was like, what happened in the movie?
You forgot?
Yeah, I'm like, I can't remember, any of the details of this movie except, a couple of, the action sequences. I remember a couple of small details.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and I watched it again.
Wow.
And guess what happened? By the time I got here, I was like, huh.
Well, I'll say, so we're recording this episode a week later than we intended.
Mm-hmm.
So normally when we do a movie, I watch it the day of or the day before we record.
I usually watch it, if we record on Friday, I watch it on Wednesday.
Yeah. So I try to do that, but so it's been over a week since I've seen this movie, and honestly, the specifics on it are kind of fuzzy. And I didn't take notes, because I watched it the day we were going to record it, and we pushed it back that day, because we recorded on a weeknight, and we recorded two other things.
I was actually glad we pushed it back, because I was sitting there going, I can't remember anything.
Yeah, no, and I remember some of the big stuff, but if I could not take an exam on this movie.
And then I went and did it to myself again, so.
All right, well, speaking of doing it to yourself, thank you to our patrons. That's the best one.
That is the best one.
Including Abigail, the first breaker of chains, mother of dragons, and
Logan,
the full metal patron, and Ben, the fourth patron of hope, and Mia, the fifth, the rainmaker.
She makes it rain.
Oh, she makes it rain. And thank you to Horsemen Comics and Gaming, who is the sponsor of this episode. Horsemen subscribes to our Losers Club tier on Patreon. For $25, they get to choose 2 bonus episodes a month. This month, their second episode, they chose to make us watch Morbius. And Daniel and I, as you'll hear in the history section, we both missed this one in theaters.
Maybe. What if I just forgot?
You can visit Four Horsemen at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, the mall at Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can shop online at fourhorsemen.tcgplayerpro.com. And if you make it into the store, say hello to the proprietor, Milo the Third, Milo of Milo, miss. Because your name is now Milo, and I'm a conceited jerk, and you have to be Milo.
That's fine.
Okay. Trigger warning. The most triggering thing in this movie to me was the media's need to perpetuate the stereotype that vampire bats are flying piranhas.
I'm gonna be honest, that outright irritated me.
And honestly, even piranhas, the reputation that piranhas have is a little undeserved, but less so than vampire bats. Like, vampire bats don't just, like, flying around ripping things to shreds.
They could take out an entire cow. Okay, so I guess I do remember. I guess you're, like, bringing some of the memories back. Mm-hmm. But I hear him say that, and I'm like, no, they can't.
No, they can't. They'll, like, sneak up on a cow while it's sleeping and suck a little blood.
And they take a little lap, and they go away.
Yeah, like, I don't think the cows generally even, like, notice.
Like, the worst thing that happens with vampire
like big
bats
mosquitoes.
is, like, rabies or an infection.
Mm-hmm. They're not flying piranha. Okay, so our history with Morbius, but the character and this movie particularly.
I first encountered him on the Spider-Man animated series. Where I don't know if it's like this in the comics, because I don't know if I've ever read any comics with him, but he had suction cups on his palms from how he sucked the blood, and for some reason I find that so much more terrifying than someone just biting me.
I've never watched that, but I have read, and I actually went through my Goodreads and looked it up. I've read 2 Spider-Man comics with Morbius, and no, he does not have suction cup hands. Untold Tales of Spider-Man #9 and The Amazing Spider-Man Lizard No Turning Back. Both of them are Lizard books that also feature Morbius. And I like Morbius. Like, you know, he's not exactly Magneto to me, but I like him.
I know that in the comics they started off calling him, like, the whole living vampire thing came because of the Comics Code Authority. Mm-hmm. Like, they couldn't have something undead. They were afraid that the comic wouldn't pass.
Okay.
So I'm like, that's such a weird word. You know, like, there's, like, really devoutly religious Jewish people who can't work on Sunday, so they come up with all of these, like, ass-backwards ways to get around the Sabbath.
Yeah.
That's what the Comics Code Authority reminds me of, is you have a bunch of dudes going, we want a vampire, but we can't use a vampire. How many hoops do we gotta jump through to have a vampire?
That's stupid.
Yeah, I agree. But that's what it reminds me of.
Then the movie itself, so I was when the trailer first came out, I was semi-interested in seeing it because I liked Venom. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll give this a shot. But this movie met a fate for me that has happened many times where I go to a fair amount of movies, and the trailer for this movie was played at every movie I saw, like 10 movies in a row. And by the time the movie came out, I was just so sick of that stupid trailer. I had zero interest in actually watching the movie. I would have gone had Emma wanted to see it, but Emma had zero interest in it anyway.
I was, like, sort of aware it was coming out. I just really wasn't interested. I think I was already suffering from an extreme amount of superhero fatigue at that point. I was just like, it's a Sony Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man. Why do I care?
Yeah, but my only counter to that is Venom was pretty decent.
And my only counter to that counter is Venom is a way bigger name who has, like, way more, like, care. I guess I don't read a lot of Morbius books.
And my counter to your counter to my counter is that, yes, that's true, but I don't particularly care about Venom.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy the Venom movie.
It also had, what's his face? The
Tom
actor.
Hardy.
Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy
That's your counter to my counter to my counter to my counter.
Tom Hardy is a way better actor than Jared Leto.
Yes. The guy from... maybe that's a little harsh. I was about to say the guy from Dagon is a way better actor. That's probably not true.
That's probably... I mean, when I rank these movies, this might be above Dagon.
I think it's slightly, like 1 or 2 spots above Dagon for me personally, but...
The vampire's a pure myth, superstition. I may be able to bring you proof that the superstition of yesterday can become the scientific reality of today.
Background, the character Morbius himself first appeared in The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 101.
This movie would be 1,000,000 times better with that costume.
Yeah, his OG costume is pretty cool. The movie itself, released March 10th, 2022, is directed by Daniel Espinosa, who directed Life, Child 44, and Safe House. And it was written by writing partners Matt Sazama and Burke Sharpless. They have written
Oh, wow.
Dracula Untold, The Last Witch Hunter, Gods of Egypt. They have the story credit for the new Power Rangers movie, and they also wrote Madam Web. There were 2 previous attempts to bring Michael Morbius to live action. Since in 1998, they were thinking of making him the villain in the first Blade movie. There was also thoughts of a solo thing, and then they have said that Blade and Morbius are gonna happen in the MCU several times, and like when I see a trailer, yeah,
I'll believe it when I see it. So,
but in Hollywood's defense, I've been saying the exact same thing about the Beetlejuice sequel for years.
I'm still not convinced.
There's a trailer.
When it is out and my ass is in a seat.
Emma and I went to see Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, and they showed the trailer for Beetlejuice. I was like, it's real?
No, I think we're being punked. I think it's like a long-running gag by Hollywood.
I was like, I'm excited to see a Tim Burton movie? What? It's crazy. This is the 3rd film of the SSU, Sony's Spider-Man universe. The first 2 are Venom and Venom Let There Be Carnage, and then the 4th one is Madam Web. This movie had a budget of ranging from 75 to 83 million and took in 167.5 million, which, considering the reputation this movie has, isn't...
It's not a lot for like the budget and the marketing, but that's a way bigger number than I was expecting based off of
the reputation it has.
Yeah, because when it came out, do you have anything on like the memes?
No, because I figured you would bring it up.
Okay, so I'll just bring it up here. Like before the It's Morbin time memes, they would have like, have you seen the Goku Vegeta meme where they're like, oh, we have to go fight someplace empty, and it'll be in the theater of some movie that's bombing. Mm-hmm. Saw a lot of those about Morbius. Mm-hmm. So I was expecting it to be under whatever its budget was.
Yeah.
Or around, like closer to
this movie is not a bomb.
Yeah.
Like it's at like the break-even-ish point.
And then, after that, we got the It's Morbin time memes. Mm-hmm. And that was, like, so big for a while. I thought it was the funniest thing on the planet for, like, I don't know, 10 minutes. Which is probably longer than I think most memes are funny. This is what I found really funny. The memes got so popular that Sony re-released the movie in theaters.
Which probably helped boost this number.
It only made, like, $10,000.
Oh, that's high. That's $10,000 higher, I guess.
And everybody started, like, ragging on them for it. Like, we're making fun of you. We don't want to go see the movie. But then the thing that killed the meme, do you know what killed the meme?
No.
It was right before they re-released it in theaters. Is Jared Leto released a video, like, on his Twitter, where he was sitting there reading a script for Morbius 2, and it said It's Morbin time on it. And they're like, oh, he said it. It's not funny anymore. That's the meme history.
Yay.
Yeah.
And just quickly on the financial success of the SSU, the Sony Spider-Man universe. Because I looked up the numbers on all 4 of these movies. Venom and this Venom 2 both did pretty well. So far, and Madam Web was kind of a huge bomb.
Yep.
I haven't seen Venom Let There Be Carnage either, so.
I also haven't. I will go ahead and say I was expecting this movie to be way worse based off of the reputation.
I did. This is not a good movie. However, to quote Hef, I don't think it's quite as dog shit as people led me to believe.
Yeah, I was like, I just think it's forgettable.
I think it has a 17 on Rotten Tomatoes, and to me it's more like a 40, a 50, like that range. Yeah. If I was going to give it a number.
What's its Metacritic score?
It was actually,
no, it's
audience.
It's cinema score.
It was like 68. Well, I can see like who the audience is, like teenagers, middle school kids. Like,
there's a nurse I worked with that thought this movie was really good.
Okay, so Rotten Tomatoes 15. The Rotten Tomato audience score is 71. I feel like that is too high and that is too low.
Like you average them.
Yeah, something like that. Like, I don't think it's good. Mm-hmm. But I think it has more redeeming It's not, but it's not a 15 out of 100 for me.
Yeah.
This is funny. So the film earned $17.3 million on its first day, which includes $5.7 million from Thursday previews. And it went on to debut at $39 million, finishing first at the box office. Its second weekend, it grossed $10.2 million, finishing second after Sonic 2, which is a drop of 74%, the second worst drop all time of any superhero movie, behind only the movie Steel from 1997 and the worst of any DC or Marvel movie. So being its drop in ticket sales from weekend 1 to weekend 2.
Steel was also pretty dog shit.
I've never seen it.
Shaquille O'Neal plays a Superman character known as John Henry Iron Steel, only they remove all the interesting aspects about him by removing all the Superman mythos.
Fun.
Yeah.
For the Golden Raspberries, it was nominated for Worst Picture, and it won. Jared Leto won Worst Actor, and Adria Arjona won Worst Supporting Actress. Which I didn't think she was that bad, but I think she was just kind of in a bad movie.
Maybe.
I did think Jared Leto was not very good, though.
I didn't think either of them were very good. I guess I didn't see every movie that came out that year. And maybe it's just because I watched a lot of, like, really dog shit movies. Oh, we talked about a dog shit movie tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe what I, like, judge the crap factor on is just kind of tilted.
And that's that. Another story in the classic, infallible 3-act structure. Good enough for Aristotle, good enough for The Simpsons.
Mr. Sislak, I have a feeling there's going to be one more act to this story.
Well, I'm not hanging around for that. 4 acts.
For structure and themes, I thought we'd just kind of get some of our general thoughts out. I guess for structure, like, we could compare it to other superhero movies.
It's not as bad as The Flash.
Uh-huh.
I will die on that hill.
I haven't seen The Flash, so I can't agree or disagree. My guess is I would probably like The Flash a little more, but who's to say? I haven't seen it. There's a lot of little things that bothered me about this movie, and on the whole, I don't think it's a very good movie. But I could think of a lot of worse ways to spend 2 hours than watching this movie.
My biggest issue is I just can't remember a lot about it. Like, I remember, like, individual, like, little scenes, but how they connect is not Like, the second time I watched it, I put my phone away. Because I was like, maybe that was it. Maybe I was just checking it too much. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm trying to remember, like, how they got from point A to point B half of the time. I'm like, I remember him drinking artificial blood. I think he invented it.
He did.
I remember Doctor Who was the villain.
Yep.
And he did a little dance in a subway.
He did, after he messed up some cops.
Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, okay, so yeah, he threw something at one of the police. Then Chick died, and then she's not dead.
Sequel! This movie had possibly, like, the worst sequel bait / teasers. Okay, so here's where I want to start. Michael Keaton is heavily featured in the trailer for this movie. And I am sitting waiting for Michael Keaton to show up this entire movie.
I could have told you that doesn't happen because that was a huge, like, point of contention when it came out. Just because it was in the memes.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
Well, because I don't pay attention to that stuff.
Yeah, you're not as fucking addicted to social media as I am, so. But
by the time, like, by the end of the movie, I was like, did I just hallucinate that Michael Keaton was in? I thought he was one of the cops. So I was like, did I hallucinate it? And then, like, no, it turns out that he's Adrian Toomes, and he walks through a portal from the MCU universe to this universe. Yeah. And I was just like, does anybody really want to see the Vulture Morbius team up, or at least do we want to see it? Like, I know they're teasing a Sinister Six movie, and I get lots of people want to see a Sinister Six movie, but do we want to see a Sinister Six movie where this is the basis?
No. Another thing, there's a line, I can't remember who he's saying it to, where he goes, "I am Venom" in this movie, right? And then he like does the little bad CGI growl.
Yeah, he does it to like the punks that he steals the lab from.
Okay. Well, in one of the trailers, he says that line, and then he goes, "Oh, I'm just kidding."
Yeah.
But in this, he just does the growl, and the guy runs up. I'm like, I almost feel that joke is necessary.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you're not Venom. like the whole joke is like you make him think you're Venom, and then you're just like, I'm just fucking with you. I'm just a vampire.
He kind of does that in like the diner with the girl, where he like pretends that the sunlight's gonna burn his hand. Oh, I'm not the kind of vampire. Yeah. Another thing that really bothered me about this movie is, like, every time you have a vampire who's, you know, your hero, or at least your anti-hero, they're a protagonist and they're essentially good, you have to... We talked about this a lot in Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter and A Dowry of Blood, those 2 episodes. You have to have that... Just that you have to figure out how they feed and still retain the ethics, the morality that they have. And this invention of artificial blood just
is so lame.
It's so lazy. It just like, granted, I'm rarely ever happy with how a writer resolves that. Like in A Dowry of Blood, the girls are like, "Oh, we will only eat criminals." I'm like, that's not going to last long forever. But at least there you're like trying something. In Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, the dude was starving himself to death. It was just taking him centuries to die.
And I think that this even set up like the best way to do it until he has to give in. Mm-hmm. Is he works in a fucking hospital and he's just stealing blood until he gets caught.
Yeah, I mean, thing that really bothered me is like the artificial blood is not important to the plot at all, except that
it only exists for this.
And they just tangentially mention that, oh, and he's the inventor of artificial blood and he's getting a Nobel Prize. But it only exists to be this Deus Ex Machina, so he doesn't have to have that struggle of, do I drink real human blood or not?
Well, we're setting up a movie where the villains are the main protagonists, but we can't have them be bad guys, right?
He kind of walks the line between villain and anti-hero in some stories. I'm not an expert, but like one of the comics I read, he was allied with Spider-Man against the Lizard.
You can't have vampires killing people, Ryan. Someone might get upset.
Another thing that was kind of weird is like how true it was to the generic superhero flow of a story, where you establish who they are and what makes them special, and then there's this terrible accident, and then they get superpowers, and then you have this period where they're on the run and they're testing out their powers and figuring them out, and just like it just felt like this was an opportunity to do a superhero movie and go in a different direction, but they kind of just took the same foundation that we've established over the past 20 years, and it's like, oh, but it's just a little bit darker.
What if we did Blade, but made it more shitty?
Yeah, but it's a little bit darker, but not as dark as Blade.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be R. It's PG-13.
Blade used a serum. We will use artificial blood.
Yeah.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Okay, let's talk about characters. Jared Leto as Dr. Michael Morbius.
He didn't offer to give Batman a reach around in this movie, so
I was just kind of underwhelmed.
I don't know why Jared Leto keeps getting roles.
I think the only other thing I've seen is Suicide Squad. Surely there's something else I've seen him in.
He won an Academy Award once in Dallas Buyers Club. That's the one where he won his Academy Award.
Apparently he was in Urban Legend. And apparently he was in Fight Club and Girl Interrupted and American Psycho. Maybe he had small roles in Requiem for a Dream. Phone Booth. He was uncredited in Phone Booth. And Lord of War. I haven't seen Lord of War since high school. You'd like that movie. I've seen some of these movies, but Suicide Squad is the only thing I actively remember him being in. I don't have like a specific criticism about him. I just wasn't feeling it.
I don't think he has a lot of charisma in this role specifically. And I'm not saying you have to be Robert Downey Jr. to be the lead of a superhero movie, but you have to make me care. I can't remember shit that he was doing or talking about throughout most of this movie.
Yeah.
The lines and stuff that I really remember are things that were also in the trailers. I remember his boss fight at the end.
The much better performance in this movie, not taking home the Oscar or anything, but much better, is Matt Smith, who plays Lucian, or Milo.
I almost wish he would have been Morbius instead, because he has a little bit of charisma.
Yeah. As far as, like, Marvel villains, I mean, he's not the bottom of the list, but he's not in the top half either.
I like that I can't remember the name of the movie, where they show a dude at the end walking away with a limp, but as he gets further away from the psychiatrist, he starts walking normally, because he just got away with murder or something like that. And they took that, like, scene for scene for this movie, where they show...
where he leaves the crutch in the cell.
Yeah, they just completely took it.
Hiya! Happy Easter!
He goes to visit Morbius in jail.
Mm-hmm.
He's still, like, fooling him at that point, but he leaves the crutch as, like, a message that he's also taken the serum. And Morbius goes, no! And he goes flying out the window.
Yeah.
He goes to the top of a building and he uses his bat senses to find where he is. And that's when they have the fight in the tunnel in the subway. Did you think it was creepy when he did the echolocation thing and his ears did that, like, bat skin splitting thingy?
I might if I would remember.
Oh, God.
I remember him doing a vampire Kamehameha.
Yeah.
But with bats.
Yeah. That was not great.
Matt Smith was, I'm also a vampire, but I'm the evil vampire. That was the character. We were weak all of our lives. Now I get to be a vampire. So one of the reasons why I think a movie like Venom had a better shot of working is because Venom was so popular that they started to integrate him more as being a hero or an anti-hero and gave him a rogues gallery, so he had stuff to work with. But say you make a Dr. Octopus movie. Who's the villain of that movie other than Spider-Man? Because he doesn't have a rogues gallery. So you have to either take another villain or make somebody up.
The thing about Venom is that it was funny.
Yeah.
That, to me...
I still need to watch it.
Well, it's really funny. That's... Okay, and that's another huge issue with this movie, is that the way that superhero movies have evolved is that even when they are maybe a little weaker in some aspects, they can rely on humor. And I think that's a big reason why the MCU kind of survived when other superhero franchises were dying, is because they knew from the beginning is that let's lean on the humor end of it and the lighter end of it. And yes, this is a quote unquote dark movie, but it could have still had some comedy, and there's like no jokes like at all throughout this movie.
I think the Blade movies are funnier than this.
I agree.
Part of that, okay, again, I hate to keep leaning on the word charisma because I feel like I'm really shitting on Jared Leto, but Wesley Snipes was just kind of more entertaining to watch.
I'm not the biggest Wesley Snipes fan, but I agree. You had, for Blade, even if you weren't crazy about the movie, it's hard to watch that and watch the action sequences and say, well, and not admit that Wesley Snipes is a talented physical actor and be a little bit impressed by the physical things that he does.
Yeah.
But like every fight in this movie is like all CG.
A lot of it's not so great.
Yeah, it's not so great. And I doubt, like, I don't know. Maybe Jared Leto is a black belt. I don't know. I doubt it. But they never like give him a chance to do anything physical in this movie, like really at all.
Yeah.
Okay, Adria Arjona plays Dr. Martine Bancroft. My biggest issue with this character is the scene she's introduced in, they don't say her name. They don't say her name until the second scene she's in. And I'm like, I know this is the girl character, but who is she?
I've been calling her the girl character this whole time in my head. So.
I mean, she's not that memorable.
Yeah.
But, like, when you introduce a character, you should probably say their name, especially if you want to try and fight the token girl character stereotype. Which...
I hate to be this guy, but she was written as token girl stereotype from like a 90s movie.
Yes, she was.
Because God, I feel like I'm not the person to be making these sorts of critiques on movies because, you know, I'm a dude, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm sitting there going, I have seen strong female characters done so much better, and they literally have this scene where they go, "Oh, hello, nurse. It's Doctor, actually." And I'm like, I know that still happens.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm sitting there, I'm like, that is like such a 90s movie, let me emphasize this line, especially like the way it's delivered.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I feel like this movie was written like 20 years ago.
Super confused at that point. Because, like, I was like, okay, we got to do this illegal experiment. We got to go out in this boat in international waters. And no point did they say, we're going to hire mercenaries to go on the boat with us. So when it showed those guys, like, sitting around a table and smoking and playing poker, I assumed they were the crew of the boat. And then the guy's like, I'm going to go check on the doctors. And he picks up a machine gun. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I really feel that that's just a product of shitty writing, because again, I knew that like an action sequence happened at some point, and that there were dudes with guns that were getting like fucking like murdered. But I'm sitting here like talking to you about it. I'm like, why were this guy? I was like, were they after the artificial? I'm trying to remember plot points.
They were mercenaries that they hired to, I guess, crew/guard the boat while they're in international waters. They never explained this, but I guess like they didn't want to go into international waters without protection because I'm assuming they were afraid of pirates
or something.
But
okay, but I'm sitting there thinking about it now. I was like, were they trying to steal the artificial blood? Like I was trying to remember what the plot was, but apparently it was just nothing. Apparently they just had machine guns.
They were mercenaries that they hired to go out with them, and she gave him the serum. And she tied him to the chair, and the merc came in to check on them, and Morbius started transforming. So, of course, he pulls his gun up, which gets him attacked, and...
This isn't normal. Okay.
I'll kill you all! I'll drive you crazy, and I'll kill you all! I'm every nightmare you ever had. I am your worst dream come true. I'm everything you ever were afraid of.
Is this movie scary?
Scary shit. Is this movie scary? No.
Yeah.
No. Effects they're not good.
Oh my god. Are you Stephen King? No, I'm Dean Koontz. Oh.
Kings and Koontz. Daniel, what's your king?
The vampire Kamehameha, because it was so fucking stupid.
I didn't like it.
I was like, that is I've played a lot of vampire video games. I'm like, that's like a superpower that you would give a vampire in a video game. And he's just like, he's walking forward. I'm like, you're literally doing the Gohan walking towards Cell after he finally overpowered him. I'm like, it's so fucking stupid. But I remembered it, and I laughed.
That was something that I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot that was in it until you mentioned it. That just went in one eye and went out my butthole. My king is that I finally watched this movie that everybody talked about. And my Koontz
is that you finally watched the movie that everybody...
Yeah, that and the vampire bat thing, it just irritates me to no end.
Koontz is just going to be Jared Leto because he bored me to the point where I had to watch the movie twice for this podcast. I guess I didn't have to.
Yeah.
But I was afraid that the podcast would end up sounding like it's sounding now, where I'm trying to piece parts together.
So we need to rank Dagon, and Morbius. I'm going to do both. All right, so I'm starting at the bottom. I'm going to do Dagon first. God, do I like Winnie the Pooh Blood Not anymore, and I like Dagon.
I still need to watch the sequel because apparently it's worse somehow.
All right, I'm going to put Dagon at number 112.
We've watched a lot of movies for this podcast.
That's below the Boogeyman Dollar Baby and above the All You Love Will Be Carried Away Dollar Baby. Morbius is going to be a little higher, but not that much higher.
Was it better than Near Dark?
Yeah, I think I'd rather watch Morbius than Near Dark. I'm gonna put Morbius at number 102 between Blade 2 and Blade Trinity. Daniel's review is it's better than The Flash, and my review is it's better than Blade Trinity.
You just made me choke on my own spit.
Presumably starting at the bottom half of your list.
I liked it more than Horns. I liked it more than Exorcist Believer.
That movie has gotten infinitely worse for me now that I've read My Best Friend's Exorcism. It's like, this is 100% what that movie should have been.
I think I'm going to put it right below Alien Resurrection.
Dagon is your 103, below Alien Resurrection, and above Exorcist the Believer. That's the wrong movie.
They got it.
And Morbius.
Well, I'm going to put it right below Dagon.
You're new 104.
Because I think I would still rather watch Morbius again than The Exorcist Believer.
Hello, Mr. Stein.
Hello, Mr. Black.
Who's that?
He's the new drama teacher.
Zombie Day. One of the FBI agents says, that business in San Francisco, which is a reference to Venom. And then obviously he calls himself Venom. You see the Daily Bugle paper, which is the J. Jonah Jameson's paper from Spider-Man. And then, the worst. I'm getting hungry, and you wouldn't like me when I'm hungry.
And apparently, either Hungry or Hunger. I can't remember. I already forgot the name of the villain.
Hunger is
the villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, obviously, a Incredible Hulk reference. Further reading, obviously it's not exactly the same, and because you love the Blade movies and you're not as high on this, but like I feel like it's in the same like vein. The Blade, Elektra, Daredevil kind of
it honestly feels like a movie made in that era.
Yeah.
Daredevil is a movie I would probably compare this movie to.
I have never seen the entire thing. I've seen part of it.
It really now that you mentioned that, it reminds me of the Daredevil movie. It's very early. We're trying to make a superhero movie, and people like edgy shit.
Mm-hmm. 90s edgy.
Yeah, 90s edgy. And I'm like...
Before South Park was a big thing.
I'm sitting there like, oh man, this is the kind of shit that probably would have convinced me to wear a trench coat back in, circa 2006.
Yeah.
So...
There's an audience. Coming on the Horror of Babylon this Sunday. Oh. This airs before Dagon. Daggone it! Whatever. Nobody cares. Alright, so, spoilers. We recorded our episode for Dagon first. We forgot to do the rankings, so you get a little preview. If you listen to all of our episodes in order, you get a preview on our thoughts of Dagon, which that episode is coming out this Sunday. Whoops. The next Sunday, May 19th, is our next book episode where we read Cujo by Stephen King. And then our next two bonus episodes on Thursday the 16th, we watch Prey. And on Thursday the 23rd, we watch Willy's Wonderland. I wonder how we managed to land such a great group of patrons, including Abigail the First, Breaker of Chains, Mother of Dragons, and
Logan,
the Full Metal Patron, and Ben, the Fourth Patron of Hope, and Mia the Fifth, the Rainmaker.
She makes it rain, yo.
Oh, yo, and thank you to Sierra the Sixth, the Keyblade Patron. And thank you to Horsemen Comics and Gaming, who sponsored this episode. They subscribe to the Losers Club tier on our Patreon, who we only have room for 6 more people on that tier, by the way. God, can you imagine if we had 7 people and they got to choose 2 bonus episodes each month? That would be hell.
Yeah, but at that point, we'd be kind of, we wouldn't be able to live off of it, but that would be, actual money. Because it's, $25 a month?
Yeah, but...
It was something stupid.
So, 25 times 7, we'd make $175 a month to produce 14 episodes.
We would just find ways to make them shorter. I think we would start refining the craft to where they'd be half-hour long episodes.
Yeah. Which we had gotten good about, and then tonight it has not worked out that way. Anyways, they get to choose 2 bonus episodes for us every month, and this is the second one for the month of May, so thank you to them. You can visit them at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, the Mall at Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can shop online at 4horsemen.tcgplayerpro.com, and if you make it in the store, say hello to Ronald III, Grampus of Christmas. If we had that many at the Losers Club tier, what we'd do is we would make like a giant list of movies, like, okay, here's like 150 pre-approved movies, pick from these instead of
anything.
Yeah.
I also feel like we might actually make a day where we would go, okay, today's the day we have to watch our Patreon movies, and we'd get together and get food.
Yeah, we could have like one day a month where we watch 14 movies.
Okay, maybe we'll do half of them.
Yeah, like we watch 7 on our own, and then we watch the other 7 together, and then record 14 half hour. Oh god, it sounds terrible. No more pay. We could handle like 1 or 2 more at that tier.
Maybe we should like max that out at 4.
But it's the Losers Club. There's got to be 7.
Oh yeah, I forgot. No, there's 6 because one kills themselves.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Thank you for watching Morbius twice and recording with me tonight.
I hope it was only twice.
Actually watched it 7 times.
It's my Dairy Maine.
I would say every time you watch it, you got deja vu, but you don't remember anything. All right. Thank you to our patrons. Stay tuned for our socials and stay scary.
Stay scary, everybody.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher, and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/The Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that The Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all other major podcast apps. Stay scary.